Ryan Cross from Wilton High School, and along with my partner Rachel Jones, I will be arguing the affirmative on the resolve that the United States should imprison only those who commit violent crimes. I'd like to first set out some definitions, outline my three contentions, and then delve into each of them in further detail. My first definition is for violent crimes. We're using the definition on the first page of the packet, the first sentence, which outlines the 4 categories from the FBI. Secondly, I'll define nonviolent to be excluding any crimes that these 4 categories cover. And then also, we would like to define imprisonment as a set period of time behind bars determined by a judge. So we will be distinguishing this from things like drunk tanks and being booked at a police station, because this happens before a trial period of basically any sort of judicial process where somebody's being accused of a crime. Now, I'd like to outline my 3 contentions. My first being that under the status quo of America's prison system, currently we are not seeing cost-effective benefits. Secondly, that unruly politicians have halted progressive change in prison systems. And thirdly, that America's prison system is grossly inhumane and overstepping its bounds. To move on to my first and to delve into detail on the contention that under the status quo, America's prison system is not cost-effective. Basically, our point here is that in America's prison system, we spend roughly $35,000 per inmate per year, which is twice what minimum wage pays to a person per year. And essentially, it's very expensive. So we have to look at basically the scope of what a prison should do, which we believe is putting somebody behind bars if they threaten societies. The society is, as a general public, I guess, and probably more importantly, to rehabilitate criminal offenders. So really, what we see is that when we take into account the idea that 50% of crime is violent, we can really see that because America spends $80 billion per year on its prison system, basically affirming means that $40 billion of this that we are spending a year is now in play. Basically, we are determining where we are going to spend that, because $40 billion is stuck because we're still imprisoning violent criminals, and then also $40 billion is in play. And we, the affirmative, believe that we can spend this better, especially when you take into account the idea that $1 spent on police is 20% more effective than $1 spent on prisons, according to page 7 of the packet. So in essence, what we see is that economically, the current prison system is expensive. Many states have turned to private companies, and many are operating over capacity. And in essence, if we look to the prison system, it's not working. And economically, the status quo is bad, and we need to change that, which is why the resolve would help take $40 billion a year into play, and we'd be spending that on things like halfway houses for these nonviolent criminals and alternative programs other than prisons that happen to be cheaper, so therefore we're having economic benefits. Moving on to my second contention, that basically unruly politicians halt progressive change in prison systems. Basically, for this contention, we'd like to look at the fundamental purpose of prisons, which we believe is to put dangerous people in prison. And in essence, a lot of politicians like those in California and other states that have had large issues with their prison system, in many of these states, what we're seeing is that we have poorly managed systems, and the status quo is not working because we have too many people in prisons, not enough clean underwear and clean water, and people who are imprisoned are not provided what we would like. And if we look to if we look to the packet, we can see that actually in California, the governor has been accused and basically found guilty of violating the 8th Amendment, and we are seeing instances of cruel and unusual punishment, which brings me to my third contention, which is that America's prison system is grossly inhumane and overstepping its bounds. Here, what we'd like to say is that we are seeing some states that are successful, like North Dakota, where they have about 100% capacity, which is actually lower than most states, which should tell you that a lot of states in America have more people in their prison systems to handle, which means that you can either push people more than the capacity is designed for in a prison, or you can build more prisons. So really, the choice is to solve this problem, or to build more, which is expensive, or to cram people in, which is what's happening in California, where they are running at a 200% rate over capacity of their prison system. So in essence, America's prison system is grossly inhumane and overstepping its bounds. And really, to tie this back to the resolve, what my partner and I would like to say here is that affirming this resolve would provide many benefits, such as taking people out of the prison system that is already overloaded and putting them in places that are more suited to the type of their crime. Basically, my partner and I believe that in America, every person should not, who commits a crime should not have the same punishment, and that there are multiple options as far as how you want to deal with people who commit crimes. So we believe the punishment should fit the crime. crime, meaning that if somebody commits a non-violent crime, they should not have to face as severe a punishment as somebody who commits a violent crime, such as violent crimes such as murder, non-negligent manslaughter, forcible rape, robbery, and aggravated assault as package fines. So in essence, the affirmative can offer a plan that alleviates much of the stressors on our current prison system, helps us save money, and makes improvements, because we believe fundamentally not everybody should be committed of a crime and automatically be sent to prison and have that be the only recourse. We believe there are multiple options for people, just as, for instance, with juveniles, they don't go to prison. We have other options like juvenile hall and other programs where they are living in group houses, and basically our current prison system is failing, so we need to change that. And that being said, I believe that an affirmative resolve offers the best plan because it saves money and it has many benefits that the negative cannot offer. And I could myself a progressive donation.
So you mentioned a lot these other alternatives to nonviolent criminals to punish them. Can you mention any specifics?
Right. Basically, page 1 of the packet, the bullets outline a good list of many possibilities.
All right.
So you're saying that the 5 major points the FBI uses to define a violent crime, those
yes.
4? Yeah, 5, but either way, are the ones that you're going to use, correct?
Right.
Where does child pornography fall in there?
Basically, I'd say that these are 4 categories, as the first sentence of the packet explains. So we have a large variety of crimes, and I'd say violent. As far as the violent crime goes, most of us can, as a society, have a basic understanding of some things that are violent and hurt people, like child molestation is bad because you're committing a violent crime. So as far as child pornography,
is your definition of violent crimes what you said it was, those 4 categories?
Yes.
Or is it that and whatever society considers to be bad?
No, it's that the 4 categories cover basically society. We believe this is a good document.
So then where does Bernie Madoff fall in there?
Bernie Madoff is an interesting point because he is, we believe, since he committed a white-collar crime, we would say that he basically is a non-violent offender. He did hurt people by taking their money, but this is totally separate from somebody who killed somebody or raped them.
So
there's a difference.
What kind of punishment would you propose to him? I'm just trying to get an idea here.
Well, he's an 80-year-old man. He's pretty old, and now it's not like if he's out of society again, people are going to give him money and invest in him again. He's lost his security license, so there's not much damage you can do to society. So there are other options besides prison, and essentially, prison would not be appropriate for Bernie Madoff because he doesn't have many years left, and that's not helping him or society.
So you keep on saying that there are these bullet points. Which of those bullet points would you have Bernie Madoff have to follow? Which of them?
Let's say house arrest or curfew, things of that nature, because him being in prison as an old man really is a waste of society's money.
How much of a punishment is to Bernie Madoff to have to spend all of his time in his multi-million-dollar mansion?
Well, it's certainly putting him in prison, in a minimum security prison, because he didn't commit a violent crime, is not that. In essence, it's costing society money, and it's not really getting us as a society to a better place, because either way, this man has committed a bad crime, and he's going to die soon, and now he's
So as long as I'm old, I can do whatever I want.
No, not at all. Basically, what we're saying is that there are punishments for Bernie Madoff that are more appropriate than putting him in
Which
maximum
punishments?
security. Things like house arrest and curfew, because he doesn't need to be in a maximum security prison. He's not a rapist. He did not.
How does house arrest actually punish Bernie Madoff?
Basically, the list of alternatives are better than putting him in solitary confinement in a maximum security prison, because that is costly, A, and B, doesn't help protect society because he's not a threat to society, which is what jails fundamentally do.
We can move back to that later, but I'd rather look at your first intention. You mentioned that prison can rehabilitate people, right?